Hello everyone, and welcome back to Doll Flippers. It's me, Cody, and today we're gonna do something a little different than what we've done so far. We've taken a look at full body dolls, and that's not gonna be the end of it. We're gonna go back to it because there's many more full body dolls to look at. But today we're gonna be looking at styling heads. Styling heads have always been fascinating to me. They're like acceptably morbid because it's just if you were in a culture that didn't have styling heads as toys or whatever, it would be like pretty jarring to just see, a woman's smiling head up to, her shoulders usually, and that's it. And in some cases like this, there's just ground around her. It's always been funny to me. So today we're going to be taking this styling head. This specific one is a promotional product from the movie Barbie as the Island Princess. That's the name of it. This is the Barbie Singing Styling Head. She sings a song from the movie. And what's interesting about this is that, much like the Chat Divas Barbie, this doll's mouth moves. You can check on YouTube if you want an example. It's pretty noisy, kind of like the Chat Divas one. The sound of the jaw clicking it drowns out the song a lot. And you notice that there are little statues of animal friends around her. These are characters in the movie. I looked on the wiki, and there is a lot of characters in this movie. I'm not going to get into the story, because we're here for the repainting, or whatever you want to call it. They sing as well. They sing in the song, so they were added to the set. Their mouths don't move, however. They just kind of are there for the audio to come from, and then when Barbie sings, her mouth moves. So it's very interesting. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to make this into a Disney princess because, I, as an American, female, I guess you could say, woman-ish, whatever, I was definitely, a lot of my childhood was shaped by Disney and Disney princesses, and I have nothing against them. I love Disney princesses. I have a love-hate relationship with Disney, and I wanted to make that into something here. You can make, whatever Disney princess you want, but I specifically wanted to look at Giselle from Enchanted. Remember that movie, Enchanted? It was one of the first that had the title just be an adjective. It came out in 2007, geez. And not sponsored by Google. And Enchanted was cool because it played with the modern fairy tale tropes by having a fairy tale princess come into the real world, probably New York City, because that's where literally everything happens. I wish that the tourists would go home. That's a story for another day. Giselle would have been an official Disney princess. She came out, rather modern. She came out right before Tiana, actually. Tiana was 2010. Princess and the Frog, rather. But they didn't want to give royalties to the live-action star, Amy Adams, who the dolls and stuff were based off. Well, not really. The dolls are kind of cartoony. I'll show you in a second. But that was why she didn't become an official Disney princess, because royalties, Disney can't spare any money. So this is the doll we're going to be looking at. Sorry, no, this is the doll we're going to be looking at. There are enchanted dolls that were made. We're looking at Giselle. It's going to be a rather long episode. I hope you guys are okay with that. We are going to be replacing Barbie's features with Giselle's. As usual, I just like to repeat it because 1, I have OCD, and 2, you never know when I have a new subscriber or new person viewing this. I'm not gonna get subscribers in a long time. I've got 1 subscriber. Hello, 1 subscriber. So, what we do here is what I like to do on this channel, welcome to Doll Flippers, is layer features over one another. The reason I do that instead of just drawing new features is because I do not have a tablet. I am doing this entirely with a mouse. I don't have access to a tablet, and though I know how to use one, it's a lot more convenient for me to do the mouse. Get it? Because Disney and Mickey Mouse, and see, I connected it. So that's probably a little weird to look at. I'll make it a little less weird. It'll be hard, but the reason it looks weird is because you've got all that paint going on in the background. But if we go like that, if we go like this, I'm going to do it on this side too, to just save time, not have to demonstrate both sides. We go like this, and we, just for the sake of the picture, get rid of that. Then yeah, that looks a little bit better. But Giselle's skin is still far too... It has too many red undertones, and we want more yellow. And that's going to end up turning the eye a little bit pinkish. I was going to say blue, but that's in the other direction. See how, if I go like that, it blends in a little bit better? That's the power of the hue changer. Cool, so we have one eye. To get the other eye, we're just going to flip this. Now it's a little creepy, but she was kind of creepy looking when we started, so how much to blame can I really be? Okay, just gonna dip that behind the eye, and that doesn't look so bad. No? I don't know why that's happening. Yeah, not bad. Something about that hair in the background. I'm just gonna get rid of the eyes and make these reappear so I know what I'm masking. See? Just a little bit Yeah, see? I want that to just blend in seamlessly behind it. And then we'll just get rid of whatever is actually peeking out behind. Gonna make that fade in a little bit better. And the hair. I still feel like that's a little... Okay, that's not bad. Gonna blend that in. And there's Giselle's eyes. I still feel like this eye is a little off. Just a little bit. Maybe I had to... Yes, I had to move it down. That was the thing. Okay. So. There's Giselle's eyes. Eyes are always a lot more complicated, so I don't like paste the mouth over, the other mouth, because, the mouth is molded. The eye is just a flat area that they put stickers onto. But the mouth is a molded piece, so I just color over it. We took the color from here. That was a little too dark. That's okay. They're about the same tone, so that's cool. I could leave it as is, but I don't want to. I'm just going to cover the whole thing, and I'll find the teeth again. Now that doesn't look... That looks like I flattened it, but if I just take the transparency down, it just looks like I painted it. I'm actually going to take away the teeth because they look a little, it's not really where teeth go. See? Now they blend in a little more. And now I'm going to add teeth. First I'm gonna darken this little area here to show that it has depth, and it looks like right now it's just behind a transparent screen, but this is actually a hole that they cut in the doll's mouth. And that doesn't look right at all. This Barbie has odd lips, if I may say so. And I will say so, because I know she can't hear me. She's just a doll. A picture of a doll at that. Watch, she's gonna come into my window at night. Or through my mirror like Bloody Mary. Okay? Just for the sake of depth. Sorry. I think the way to do this is going to be... Again, I apologize if this episode is a little long. You can always skip if it's an issue. Sometimes my episodes run a little long. Until I'm hired for anything, nobody can tell me what to do. Okay. I see what I'm doing. Need to erase from the bottom. Okay, not bad. Now we're going to add the teeth. There's a small area for teeth. I would have considered not adding teeth, but it looks a little too jarring without them. So, we're going to add teeth. Just be really careful. Now, if I add spaces between the teeth, that's going to be 10 times more unnerving, so this is the best we can do. So, I usually like to work backwards. If you haven't noticed, I will make a mark and then shape it down. Like sculpting. You take a lot of clay, and then you whittle it down until you have what you want. Clay is one of those things where more is more. It's better to have more than to have less. I'm going to see if a bottom row looks right. The top row hardly looks right, but this is what we have. Sometimes I stare at dolls so long that I forget how faces work. And I have to focus more on just like instinct. Like what looks right just for a doll instead of what's anatomically correct and not frowned upon. That's the best we're gonna get. I'm gonna try adding a bottom row. Okay. Like I said, sometimes you gotta work with what works with the individual doll instead of what looks accurate. Like how in art class, anyone who's taken art class can vouch for me. You take an art class and the teacher's like, these are the proportions of the face, and then everyone just follows the same proportions and ends up making the same face. Or even worse, when you try to make a portrait of someone before you color in the teeth, and the teeth always end up looking really strange without the spaces in between colored in. So that's that on the mouth. I'm gonna add a tongue, see if that works, and I think it's gonna work because otherwise it's just like she's just kind of a muppet. I'm gonna add it under here, under the teeth, which is where the tongue usually lives. Yeah, I think the tongue is gonna do as well. If you think this is fun, wait until I repaint the fucking crocodile dentist game, which I plan on doing. Yes, it's Barbie. Or Giselle, or whatever. Okay. There's the cleft on her tongue. Not too shabby. Everyone's like, this is a nightmare. Well, don't watch then. someone's gonna like this. Statistically. My mom thinks I'm cool. So the last thing I'm gonna do to make this look like Giselle is, of course, color the hair. Usually, when you redo a doll's hair, you take it out completely and you replace it with different colored hair. Whether it's synthetic hair, like nylon, or yarn. Yarn reroots are really, really cool if you ever look into them, because they simulate, they can mimic more than one type of hair. You want to make an afro, you know, you leave it unbrushed. If you want to make dreadlocks, you leave them like just as they are. And then if you want to make like straight hair, you run a brush through it, and it's really cool. This is gonna look weird, but I'm gonna turn down the opacity, and it won't be as bad. Yeah, it's a shame that this movie didn't get, well, I don't remember how popular it was. I never saw it. But it seemed really cool, and it's a shame it doesn't get as much recognition as it could be. Okay, there's the hair. See? Now it looks like it looks tolerable. Oh. Gonna just feather this so it's not as jarring an outline. Gonna get the pink or the orange off of them. My forte is definitely human bodies and human faces. So I'm just gonna warn you now, I'm gonna probably get a little bored or distracted when I color the animals. So I apologize in advance. And there's Giselle. Yay! We did it! Now, in the movie Enchanted, there was no monkey, peacock, or red panda. There may have been a raccoon, but I don't really remember. All I remember is there's a squirrel. But there's a series in the Disney Princesses called the Palace Pets, otherwise known as Whisker Haven, and it gave the princesses just a ton of different animals that are just the color of their dresses. They're a little odd, and I was able to find a monkey, a peacock, and not a red panda, but a raccoon. So we can just recolor it as them. I'm not going to put too much detail into it because, again, I get bored. We're going to be starting with the red panda, or the raccoon. The name of the raccoon is Windflower, as I recall. And it's supposed to be another one of Pocahontas's pets. I guess they're a cousin to Miko, which is a raccoon in the movie. And then the red panda in the movie Barbie as the Island Princess name was Saji. I'm pretty sure. Sagi. I don't know if it's soggy or sagey, or pretty sure it's Saji. Isn't it funny how Barbie is the island princess, even though, you know, never mind. So yeah, I'm not gonna put too much detail into this. I'm just gonna do the base color and the eyes, to be totally honest. I get bored of this, you know, kind of thing. Which is why when I do, Funko Pop stuff, if I do it on the channel, I want to do it live. That way I'll be focused and not, like, take a million breaks. Because Funko Pops are just boring to me. They're interesting in how many there are, and they're interesting in that you can switch heads with them, so you can, you know, really customize. But they bore me because it's a boring design, and I don't really enjoy it. I'm just gonna keep reiterating, I know that the face is it is differently colored. Like, here is lighter, and here is more bold. But, I don't care enough right now. I'm gonna replace the eyes, and then that's it. Because this episode is probably way longer than usual. And I'm definitely gonna, you know, have longer episodes as we go on, but I just got home. I kinda wanna lay down. There's shit that I need to be focusing on, and gonna end up not focusing on it, but okay, there's one eye. Make that pop. No, that's not what I wanted. Oh, whatever. Yeah, I would check out this doll. This is the Barbie Singing Styling Head. That's probably not the full name. It's probably like Barbie as the Island Princess Singing Styling Head, or like Luciana Singing Styling Head. Because her name in the movie is Luciana. Or like Luciana or something. It's a cool little doodad. And there is the other eye. And there is Windflower. Again, I'm going to feather the outline here. Nope. Oh, sure. I don't know why I don't care as much with this kind of thing. My main squeeze is faces. If you gave me a million faces, I can do that. I just noticed that I didn't color in the outfit, so I'm gonna do that at the end. Next, we have this guy, Azul. In the Island Princess, his name is Azul. And the Palace Pets character, or the Whisker Haven character's name is Sundrop. So this is Sundrop. Same as before. We're gonna... Well, first I'm gonna fix that right there. I'm gonna paint the body going to leave the top the way it is because Sundrop has a purple crown. I can't even see Azul's feathers, so I'm just going to leave that part out entirely. The tail feathers, I mean. Which is honestly, admittedly, an interesting thing to leave out when you're making a peacock. That's kind of like their whole deal. It's funny how peacock's feathers are both evolutionarily designed to scare away predators and attract mates. Just one tail for two functions, two birds, one stone. Take that symbolism for what you will. They're a very pretty bird. He's a pretty bird. Okay. I'm going to color this part purple now. I was going to feather it, but I'm going to feather that when we are done with the eyes. This was like the only picture of Sundrop I could find, but that's okay because the face is the exact same way as... It's facing the same way as Azul. The names of these characters are pretty funny to me. Like in the Island Princess, it's like, you've got Azul, which is Spanish, Saji, which I'm not going to jump to any conclusions about because I know that I am wrong, unless I do research, and then the monkey's name is just Tallulah. I don't even know where Tallulah is from, but it sounds like it could even be European. So just the mix match of names for the sake of sounding exotic and foreign. White people are funny. Don't take that the wrong way. I am also white. But if you can't laugh at yourself, how are you going to laugh at anyone else? If you can't laugh at yourself, you shouldn't be able to, you shouldn't be allowed to laugh at anyone else. Yeah, that's about right. Cool. So that is Azul made into Sundrop. Put a feather around this. I know that I may seem all over the place with my subjects, but I am interested in many things. And I also want to pander to whoever's going to give me attention. Because I am an American merchant. It's in my blood. It's in my code to want to get the attention of whoever's going to give it to me. And if that just means my mom and my friends right now, that's okay by me. Because I'm doing this for fun. And I can make as many episodes as I want because this is free. Digital art is free. I don't have to worry about running out of paint or anything. It's wonderful. It's something I am honestly very grateful for. Knowing that I can just crank one of these out anytime I want. Okay? The last one we're going to do before we color in Luciana's dress, so she looks like Giselle, is Niall, who is being made into Tallulah, who is facing that way, so we want a head facing that way. I had more than one open because I was considering getting more than one color. So I'm just going to do the base color. I would have done the tail, but she doesn't have one. I don't see any. I can't detect it from this angle. And then I'm going to do the crown, which I'm very happy to see they both have one of those. So this is also a pretty funny observation here is the naming patterns of the palace pets. I know, this makes sense because they're from different countries and whatever, but you have Windflower, who is Pocahontas' pet. Then you have Sundrop. Sundrop is Rapunzel's pet. Okay, so that's fine. Never mind. And then Jasmine's pet monkey, I'm pretty sure it's Jasmine because, just lump, Egypt and Arabia together. Whisker, Haven, Nile. I like to do a little bit of side research. Nile is Jasmine's pet. Yeah, I was right. There are only monkeys and tigers in Agrabah. There's a party here in Agrabah. What do you think is going to replace Dan Castellaneta for the genie when he passes away? I'd like to know that. Because not only has Robin Williams passed away, but he made a deal of some sort with Disney where, you couldn't use any voice clips of his or something for the genie for a set number of years after he passed. This was long before he passed. This was back when they made the movie. So, yeah, Disney conceded to that, and they were like, so we have to find a sound-alike. So they found Dan Castellaneta, who, if you don't know, plays Homer Simpson. I wonder if that feels like hell, because he's been doing that for 30 years now. I don't know why they won't let these shows die. They won't let SpongeBob die. Even though Steven Hillenburg just passed away, and rest in peace. Because he really cared about that show. The reason he left was because he didn't, he felt like it was done. But Disney was soulless and they kept, wanting to wring money out of it. So when he left after the first SpongeBob movie back in 2004, which is why I always say that the 90s didn't end until 2004, which was the SpongeBob movie. There was nobody to filter out, the really bad ideas. So we had a few years of just pretty bad SpongeBob. Again, that's subjective, but as a big fan of the classic SpongeBob, I was definitely disappointed when they came out with, like, The Best Day Ever in 2006. I remember how hype my whole class was about that, but the actual special left a lot to be desired. And then from there, it just got more and more odd. And there was nobody to filter out the bad stuff. Or, like, you know, the non-SpongeBob stuff. It didn't feel like SpongeBob anymore. So I stopped watching for a couple years, and then he came back to the team, and episodes started getting good again, and then just 2 days ago, today's Wednesday the 28th, 2 days ago on the 26th, he lost his battle with ALS. And that's very heartbreaking, because I didn't know that he had ALS. I don't know how many people did know. But he did what he had set out to do in the first place, and for that, I salute him. I salute him for definitely shaping a good chunk of my childhood. Like a huge chunk. SpongeBob changed the game. It really did. I don't know if there's going to be a kids show with that kind of influence for a long time. Because it was unique, and it was weird, but it was like, it wasn't trying to be weird. It was just like the result of this one marine biologist, you know, niche passion. It was weird because it was niche, but to Hillenburg, that was his world. And that's, you know, that's probably why it's gonna be so unique for a long time. I know that there's a video article that I still need to watch called We Will Never Have Another Show Like SpongeBob. Or, you know, at least we'll never have another cartoon like SpongeBob. And I didn't hear that person's thoughts, and I plan to soon. But I would argue, if it was posed to me as a question, it's just like, why is there never going to be another kids show like SpongeBob? I would say because the creator had a unique passion. He set out to express it in the form of media entertainment that his field of work usually doesn't overlap with. And it gained a lot of traction, and it became very successful. And that's something to be proud of. It's something that I would love to do. My whole life isn't dolls. I've got a lot of ideas. But there's so many people with so many ideas that you have to get lucky sometimes. Sometimes you can credit it to effort, and you can put in as much effort as you want, and that's great. Effort is, you know, the driving force for goodness. Goodness comes from effort, but when it comes to things falling into place, sometimes you just need luck, and I'm not very lucky, but I'm waiting. And that is Tallulah as Niall. Now we're gonna change the color of the dress, and then I will leave you guys be, because if I had to guess, this episode is over a half hour now. So she's got two pieces. We'll pick from here. Oh, it's just white and pink. Whatever. That's about right. I feel like I've opened like 20 layers today. And this is the only picture I've worked on. But you gotta make sure things are separate. Because if you draw on the same layer, then you can't really separate it. It's just fused to it. Gotta be careful. That sounded oddly philosophical, and I apologize for that. Not everything has to be philosophy. It does when you're a philosopher, but I never claimed to be a philosopher. I think a lot about the why, but I'm not some pretentious fucking, you know, this is the way life is because I said so. Okay, we got the white. I'm going to do the pink. I'm going to fix the opacity, and then we'll be done. If you made it this far, I applaud you. I don't really have a gift for you, but I applaud you. Very patient. Appreciate it. I appreciate anyone who's, you know, sitting around and listening to my squawky voice. Because this is soothing for me. In some ways. In some ways it's tedious, but in some ways it is quite meditative. And I am thankful for being able to have found an opportunity to share my ideas with you. She doesn't have a necklace, as far as I know. She does in her bride outfit. I'll just use the sash. When it comes to recoloring things, I use what colors are in the palette, whether or not they correlate to the outfit that I'm changing. Oh, I got lucky in the size of this brush. Okay, there's one side. Okay. So yeah, styling heads are a lot of fun. I repainted a styling head. It was really cool. I appreciate styling heads because they have larger features that you can go more into detail with. It still makes my head spin how detailed people can get with dolls that are like 11 inches tall or smaller even, God forbid. Not God forbid, you know. Can you imagine? It's so funny. I have like really small hands for someone my age, but I cannot get that precise. I'm very coarse. I'm very crude. wouldn't be something you'd think that I would take to it naturally, but alas. Okay. And that is all she wrote. Thank you so much for sticking around all this time. If you get inspired by my work and you end up making something like this, or, you end up making this, please let me know. I would love to see it. Thank you so much. Bye.